Hi everyone, it's Yvette Blowitz from SpiritGirl.com and welcome to the Spirit Girl Talk Show podcast. I'm super excited to be here with you today with our very special guest, Suzy Reading. And Suzy is a chartered psychologist who specializes in well-being, stress management, and the facilitation of a healthy lifestyle. She's also an accredited yoga teacher and personal trainer, and a contributing editor for Psychologist magazine and the psychology expert for well-being brand Neom Organics. Now, many of you will know Suzy as a published author, and she has many books out. And the last time we had Suzy on the Spirit Girl podcast show, we talked about her book, Self-Care for Tough Times, How to Heal in Times of Anxiety, Loss, and Change. This time round, we're going to be celebrating the launch of her brand new book, Sit to Get Fit. Change the way you sit in 28 days for health, energy, and longevity. I'm holding up the book.
Thank you so much for having me. I always enjoy our conversations.
So great to have you back on the show, second time round. And can I say your book is absolutely gorgeous. The title, Sit to Get Fit, that's a pretty cool title. And also the illustrations are absolutely feel good. And there's a 28-day plan in there, which I've been embarking on. And it's absolutely a brilliant feel-good book and easy reading, not too complicated as part of the 28-day plan. Before we get started, how are you today?
Oh, I'm well, darling. I have to be honest, emerging from the COVID haze, and this feels so relevant because we've been stuck inside. We've not been able to move in the same ways as normal. And I tell you what, it really has a tangible impact on mood and mental health. So this feels very resonant right now, but feeling much better. Thank you, Yvette.
We'll welcome our global audience. Last time we caught up, you were in the mix of an intense London lockdown. Now, your children have recently had COVID.
Yes, I've got one back at school, one is still at home. We're on the cusp of freedom again. It has been a really intense period. That's where this whole book came from. You know, this book has been bubbling away in me for years. So as a personal trainer and yoga teacher and psychologist, I'm passionate about helping people use movement to support them through their day. But what I learned firsthand, and I think what we all learned firsthand by virtue of the pandemic and lockdown life, it's not just that movement is good for you. It's that being sedentary, too much sitting still, and coupled that with screens has serious consequences for our health. I was so thrilled the publisher was really excited about creating a resource that would help us restore after lockdown life and implement healthy habits in our day that will protect us from future curveballs, because, you know, we are still living in the midst of a pandemic. And if it's not the pandemic, there are other significant world events that are flooring us right now. So this is about how we can sustain ourselves in the face of all of this.
One of the things you talk about in your book is the tech neck. And I have experienced this immensely from the time Instagram took off and looking down to the point where our head now is coming quite forward. It's not even aligned. That must be having an incredible impact on our central nervous system. Can you tell us a little bit more about tech neck?
So basically, by the end of the day, we've lost our neck, haven't we? The downcast gaze, the raised shoulders, it has really significant effects on just about every layer of our well-being by virtue of its impact on our circulation, our digestion, our ability to breathe, the impact on our nervous system, even our immunity. So what we're trying to encourage is freedom of the shoulder girdle, an elongation of the neck, and that alignment, because that forward head posture that you're talking about, there's a psychologist by the name of Eric Pepper who postulates that this forward head position diminishes our range of motion for looking over our shoulder, which naturally makes us feel more vulnerable because you can't scope out the scene. A very significant impact on our mood, mental clarity, energy, effervescence.
In the book, you give us some tips about combating tech neck, but for our listeners, are you able to share either a couple of practices or things that you would recommend?
Absolutely. I love it. You did it instinctively there. You went like this. This is the thing. When we listen to our bodies, it tells us what to do. So if you're not sure in any given moment, just listen to your body. It'll make a suggestion. But let's go through a quick little toolkit. I think it really helps if we can release physical tension. So I would start with just a little quick shake out of the hands. Now with that, you are flicking away whatever it is that you no longer need. You feel it leave the building. And then a little bit of gentle exertion can be the gateway to physical letting go. Now, if I were to just say to you, hey, relax, we can let go a little, but that physical exertion helps us physically relax. So let's try a couple. Let's do a clasp and squeeze.
Okay.
Like you're clapping, and then wrap your hand and squeeze. And then alternate which hand you have on top. Now, with that, you're working your hands, forearms, biceps, chest. Okay, and now let it go. Notice how much easier it is to relax after that.
Oh,
little bit
so
of
nice.
Yeah, and you can feel a buzz of energy, which reminds us that we are actually alive. It's helpful.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, and then shake that out because it just feels good to let that go. Can we do another one?
Of course. For everyone, they can go to the Spirit Girl YouTube channel. So you'll be able to visually see Suzy. And if you're driving your car right now, you might want to pull over and try this while you're parked. But yes, let's do another one.
Wait for the next
Suzy.
red light.
Yeah.
So the next one is called the Shrug and Sigh. So let's get the whole arm involved. So if we can squeeze the fist, bend the arm, get your biceps involved. Now squeeze your shoulders up to your ears. Squeeze, and if you want to, you can get your face involved too. Squeeze your face into a little tiny sultana shape. Squeeze, breathe in. And as you exhale with a sigh, let it go. And if you were to do that a couple of times, we definitely feel lighter and brighter. But just releasing all of that pent-up energy, that emotion. This is not just a physical letting go. There's an emotional letting go too, isn't there?
Now, in your book, you suggest getting up out of our chairs more regularly. Why is that?
So the research says that being sedentary has its own harmful consequences. There's a whole raft of consequences. It's not just headaches and anxiety and tension, abdominal discomfort. It's even bigger than that. There are risks associated with cardiovascular disease, with cancer, with Alzheimer's, strokes, accelerated aging. So for very good reasons, researchers have said that sitting is the new smoking. So what research shows us is that we need to break up sedentary periods and get up and move every 30 minutes. So even for people who go and meet their daily guidelines of movement, if they're sitting still for long periods, they're still at risk. But the good news is it's not about necessarily getting up and going for a jog or going to the gym or doing sport. It could be simply getting out of your chair and doing some mountain breaths. It could be just walking up the stairs. It could be doing a single yoga pose while the kettle boils. So I encourage people to sort of break the association of movement being it has to be exercise or it has to be punitive or intense or difficult. It's just moving your body. It's just getting up out of your seat. Even just having a little standing twist. That's all it takes. But it's so, so important for our mood, for our energy levels, for our creativity, for access to a sense of humor, for our emotional health, for our digestive health. Get up and move every 30 minutes.
Okay, so we check on our watch or a little alarm and we just make it a ritual. And like you said, it can be a stretch, shake it out. We're not talking going for an hour power walk, just every half an hour, getting up out of the chair and having a little bit of a movement.
It could be getting down on the floor, getting down on all fours. So for anyone that's thinking, oh my God, you know what, I'm really tired. You're giving me more to do. These restorative yoga moves, they don't take any energy. They will give you energy.
Oh, they're so beautiful. I love looking at day 5, movement breaks, boosting circulation and mental clarity. You do the wood chopper. And it's about standing with your feet 1.5 times your shoulder width apart, toes pointing forward, and then start by breathing in and raising your arms upward with your palms touching. And then as you exhale, bend your knees and bring your hands to touch your outer left knee.
So it's a chop.
Yes. And I'm like, oh, we need to do some wood chopping because there's a lot going on. Now, that must be a great way to release tension, stress.
Yeah.
So the whole idea of getting our circulation going. So something in your book I found interesting was that we are hunter and gatherers.
Yeah. If you look at our ancestral roots, look at how our bodies were designed to function well. How we live our lives is so far removed from that now. So it's how can we return to a more natural way of literally moving through our day?
You're so right. So if we're sitting down all day behind a computer, and then as an example, our downtime is now sitting, looking at our phone, doing social, or maybe people are sitting down watching Netflix, that's a whole lot of sitting down, and it's a very sitting down society. Now, tell me, why were you so passionate about including your mix of yoga moves and mindfulness in such a way where we would embark on this 28-day program?
I want to make it doable. I don't want people to think I've got to go and subscribe to this fitness channel, or I've got to join a gym, or I've got to take up a sport, or I've got to go and buy fancy equipment. I want people to just be able to use their own bodies. Now, what I've experienced in the last few weeks, I'm recovering from surgery on my foot. I couldn't go and do the movement that I would normally do, but I could still move. So it's planting the seeds of how to move with whatever restrictions you're facing, whether that means you can't get out of your chair. You know, we can still do mobilizations. We can still do other movements that tap into a feeling of personal power and confidence. So it's just working with what you've got and keeping it as simple as possible to remove those barriers of expense and having to have these other things to make it possible. And it works. See, that's the thing. The beautiful thing about yoga is that it's improving our posture. It's connecting with our body. It brings us into a connection with ourselves. And for anyone that's read Self-Care for Tough Times, you'll know my message of coming home to your body as a way of healing and restoring. So that's why yoga is integral. And it also involves retraining how we breathe, which is just so vital in our healing journey. And the plan doesn't just involve movement, it's also helping to optimize our environment to support us in sitting well. It's little practices to undo strain and tension. So it's not always big, elaborate movement. It can be, you know, what we were doing earlier, these simple stretches, or maybe it's emotional digestion, like cupping our head in our hands and just saying, I give myself permission to feel. Yeah, being tender with ourselves. It's these little restorative moments that have great cumulative power as well. So the plan is designed to be very accessible and doable. But the amazing thing is that it's still very potent, these simple things. And you can pick and mix. On a day where I've been talking about those little micro moment rituals, I'll give 3 or 4. Choose one. Just try one. And in that way, this 28-day plan, you can actually come back to it at the end of the 28 days and actually find completely new inspiration in each day. So it has lovely longevity as a book to inspire ideas and to create a little uplift when it's just so needed.
It's such a beautiful book. Can we give the illustrator a massive shout out? The illustrations are so gorgeous. The colors, it's beautiful.
It is beautiful. So the illustrator, Abby Reed, has done such a gorgeous job of making it colorful and bright and engaging and uplifting. I love that. It's a visual feast, isn't it? When you pick it up, there's a bit of color therapy involved, isn't there?
Yeah, and it's just such a gorgeous book and a really beautiful self-care book where if you're just going through a really crappy time, I love the Protect Your Peace. Can we share that with our beautiful audience? Because this one here is a 60-second ritual that you can perform while sitting at your computer or on the sofa. Because there's so much going on in the world at the moment, with the war and in Ukraine and just so much devastation and heartbreak. And everybody wants to pray for peace for Ukraine and pray for no more wars. When I saw that protect your peace, I thought, wow, I think this is something everyone needs to know.
Yeah, it is. And I think it's so important that we give ourselves time and space to feel our feelings. The feelings that we're experiencing right now are really intense. And so just this gesture of bringing the hands to the heart reminds us to be tender with ourselves. What we're doing here is we're just carving 60 seconds just to bear witness to how it is that we're feeling the presence of different emotions, different sensations, different thoughts, and we're allowing ourselves to feel as we do. And you feel the warmth of the hands penetrate, feel the heart center lift and radiate, and a couple of calm, smooth breaths there, just soothing the nervous system. And from this place of calm, this poise, that helps us connect with our values and our strengths. And that's the thing that will enable us to take action in service of our values, right? So in protecting our peace, that enables us to stand tall and to live a life imbued with our values.
Oh, it's so beautiful, Suzy. I just loved that one. And I mean, I could be here for hours going through your whole book because the butterfly, the seated knee hug twist, it is just such a beautiful book. And I'm so glad that your publishing house could see the benefit in this. On your Instagram, you have been sharing a message where you have to take some time out for yourself to heal. You generally do a lot of live talks. There was a talk that you do every Monday for 3 years. Now, you are very good at sharing the message of rest is important and self-care. You've actually had to do that on this occasion, haven't you? And how does it feel to be vulnerable with your audience? I saw that you had so much feedback and everyone was wishing you well with your recovery. But how did it feel to get off the schedule?
It was a challenge because for me, that's a commitment. It's in the back of my books. Come and join me, 9 o'clock UK time, Monday morning for a live session. So it's something that I take very seriously. There's a beautiful community that comes together and we start our week together. But last Monday, I just tested positive and I was feeling awful. And I knew it was not the time to be getting suited and booted and pitching up on camera and talk. It was time to go to bed. And so half an hour before our scheduled time, I had to pull the pin. I had to say, sorry, guys, I can't do this week. And I need to take some time out to restore. And there's a part of me that thinks, oh, I'm a wellbeing professional. No one's immune. No one is immune. And I'm really pleased that I took that action because it was the right thing and it modeled how to do it. And I hope that in people's expression of encouragement and care, they will realize when they need to say, no, I'm sorry, I can't attend, or I can't do that, or I need to delay this deadline, or I need to ask for help. I hope that will help them feel like, yeah, it's okay for me to do it. It's necessary.
I thought it was really good that you just shared what was going on and then to see the outpouring of love and wishes for you to get better, to see that everyone was so understanding and caring. And I think for me, it showed an example of you being aligned. We often talk about in psychology or when we talk about mental health, how important it is to express how we truly feel and not put on the mask and turn up and pretend, oh, hi, everyone, I'm feeling, amazing. And when you're feeling like crap. Is that so important, Suzy, that we continue to share how we feel?
Yeah.
And just be open, because then that is when we can get extra support?
Definitely. And, coming back to that whole practice of protecting your peace, for us to be at peace, we need to acknowledge where we're at. Peace comes from, it's not just soft shoulders and a relaxed jaw. It's actually acknowledging where we're at, giving voice to that, but also, being in congruence with our values. So I think if we're overriding physical sensation or denying how we feel, how can we be in congruence? There's going to be discord, right? So I think it's compassion. Compassion is the key. Compassionately noticing, observing, giving voice, and reaching out to others. And I hope that the beautiful outpouring that I experienced, I hope that encourages others to do the same. And this is, I talk an awful lot about self-care, but it's not about doing it all on your own. We all need the love and support of other people.
Suzy, with your book, this is out everywhere in Australia. This is the second book to come out during the pandemic. You've been writing a lot of books. How do you fit in writing your books?
I'm going to be totally honest with you. Sit to Get Fit was written about 300 words a day while I had both kids in the bath. I'd set myself up outside the bathroom where I could see what they were doing. I knew they were safe. They were having fun splashing around together. And I wrote it 300 words a day. That was in the winter lockdown of this time last year. And what that actually gave me was deep motivation, because I knew just how important it was that I was doing this stuff. So it really kept me honest. But it came from a place of real authenticity of I was living it. And yes, and Breathe. That was over the summertime. And I loved having the opportunity to my first journal. So it was all about reflective prompts that help people get clear on what healthy living means to them, how they can infuse nourishment into everyday life. All of these books, it's such a joy to write. So I've been very fortunate.
Your books have been reaching so far, and it's been so comforting for so many. How does it make you feel when you receive those personal DMs or messages about how the book has meant to the reader, to that person?
It's an incredible opportunity to share the journey together. And I tell people I'm grateful for their kind companionship. And it's so soothing for me to know that there's something that I can do. While I can't work one-to-one with thousands, people can pick up my books and find something uplifting or cathartic or supportive. And we all come together. We walk the path together.
That's so beautiful, Suzy. I could talk to you forever about your books. Big book girl fan here, but this will be going as part of the Spirit Girl book club, Sit to Get Fit. It's out now at Big W, Targets, Kmart, all the bookstores, booktopia.com.au, any bookstore, you'll be able to find it. Now, Suzy, you also give so much on your Instagram page. You've always got incredible mental health insights, tips, self-care, self-awareness, your message constantly of rest, how important relaxation is, doing nothing. I love it. But how can our audience stay in touch with you after this podcast show?
Oh, please come and hang out with me on Instagram. Come and join our Monday micro moment sessions. And if you can't join at 9 o'clock UK time, they're all saved on my feed. So there's a beautiful resource library for people to dip in and out of. But that's the best way. Keep in touch. And I'd love to hear how people are finding the 28-day plan. Let me know. I want to hear.
For your newfound book readers, what is your hope for them when they pick this book up, Sit to Get Fit?
I hope it inspires joyful, uplifting, energizing movement and facilitates lots of juicy, restful moments. That's what I hope.
Well, your hope is what I have already experienced. I'm loving the book and I've learned a lot from you. And I'm a big fan of yoga, juicy, kind of yin yang, these just soothing moves. And I also love your weekly check-in and how you go through new habits, what's working for you. Is there a habit that needs more attention? What changes are you noticing? So it's a really inward journey.
Self-reflective, on what will work for them. what's their truth, because this is not a one size fits all. It's about integrating what works for you.
But I love it. Well, congratulations again, Suzy Reading, on your brand new book. Thank you again, Suzy. It's been a pleasure to see you, and I hope you recover fully. It's just been lovely to catch up with you, and I'm so happy that you're out of lockdown. So can I ask, before we say goodbye, now that you're out of lockdown, what have you've been doing now that you're allowed to go out of your house and into the world?
Oh, do you know what? It's just been joyful reclaiming old rituals, getting together with friends and watching films, going to the cinema, going out for dinner, just coming together again, having a little dinner party. It's simple things.
Thanks again, Suzy.
Thank you. Bye, my love. Take good care of you.
So we'll say goodbye to Suzy Reading. Be sure to grab a copy of her book, Sit to Get Fit, Change the Way You Sit in 28 Days for Health, Energy, and Longevity. It's an incredible must-read self-care book and part of the Spirit Girl Book Club. So be sure, if you get a copy of this, to hashtag Suzy Reading, hashtag Spirit Girl Book Club, and make sure you share this with everyone you love to. Be sure to subscribe, to leave a 5-star rating and review, and to tell someone you love